some of the lavender and the Melissa that was grown there and wondering when it would come back. Let me just start over. I don't like lavender. I didn't until I tried Young Living's, and then I thought, well, this is nice. It doesn't give me a headache. It doesn't make my eyes burn. I had never known real lavender until Young Living. Then, on a whim, I bought the St. Mary's lavender. See the old label? It's the old label. I haven't had it for years. And there was something about this oil. There just was. And before I went on my 2016 trip to St. Mary's farm, the Young Living farm where this is grown, everybody had kind of said to me in different Facebook groups, there is something about that farm. That farm is special. There's something about that. And Mary always said that. Gary always said that. And I grew up on a farm, so I'm like, okay, it's just another farm. But I spent the whole day there, and gosh, it was special. So I don't know how to explain that, except years later, I started taking my esoteric healing classes, and I figured out why this lavender, even though it's the same species and the same genus, it's Lavendula and Gustifolia, it's our Young Living lavender. It's the only species that Young Living sells in the single bottle. Lavender's lavender, right? Chemically, probably, might be a little bit, few minor differences. Not in the actual constituents, but in their ratios. It might just be a little bit different from season to season. What it does for the body, pretty much the same, right? Lavender's been shown in multiple studies to reduce serum cortisol levels. We can prove by science that it's calming and relaxing because it reduces our stress hormone. It helps people relax before bed. Lavender has this long history of knowing, like we all know that, right? What makes St. Mary's different? What makes it so different? So when I visited that farm, Kathy, my upline, told me, if you can find some time, go somewhere quiet on that farm and sit and look at the trees. So I did. And I knew exactly what she meant. I got it. I sat outside in the field, and I realized that the Idaho balsam fir had been clear cut off that mountain. So you have to two-track to get to this farm. It's in the middle of nowhere, and you're up on a mountain. And you could tell that they had clear-cut the Idaho balsam fir to make the balsam fir. Now, on this farm, they also have the distillers. It's where they also have the hot tubs, the famous Young Living hot tubs, and they have the glamping cabins. Anyway, this is cool. We should all plan a trip there. So I realized what made this special was mountains are a ray 1, will and power. Ray 2 is love, wisdom. There's 7 rays, but ray 1 is will and power, and mountains are a ray 1. This goes back to creation. So I won't get into the rays, but just know that mountains hold the energy of will and power. So does Idaho balsam fir. So when Gary clear cut that land, and you can still see tons of Idaho balsam fir that's up in the mountain. I mean, it's not like he cut down every tree, and they're growing more trees, so I don't want to make it sound negative. But you take a ray 1, will and power, mountain, and then you clear the Idaho balsam fir, which the energies of that Idaho balsam fir are will and power. Then you plant lavender. So then you're planting lavender, which is sweet and soft and calming, in an area that is a pure ray 1. It's not like lavender that's grown in the soil anywhere else. It's grown on the top of a mountain, completely surrounded by Idaho balsam fir, where Idaho balsam fir predominantly covered the landscape. You have a sweet, soft, gentle, calming, peaceful, beautiful lavender that's full of strength, fortitude, ray 1, will, power, there's nothing to be scared of here. So it's calming and it's empowering, not because of chemical constituents like all of the things that make up lavender, but because of the energies of creation. So, if that sounds hippy-dippy, that's fine. I'll muscle test you. I'll muscle test your St. Mary's lavender for calming, but also for power. So valor is powerful. Regular frankincense is a Ray one. It's will and power. But they're not always super calming. So you get the calming and the spiritual, because rays are spiritual, energies are spiritual, power and will and strength and might. Mountains are mighty, and lavender is peaceful. So that's what makes the St. Mary's lavender totally different from an energetic perspective. And I was always very glad that Kathy taught me to just find a place on that farm, get real quiet and watch the trees. And I bought multiple bottles of this back in the day, and I hoarded them because I was worried someday it would go out of stock. I don't know why, I just had a feeling, and it did. And so I'm down to a couple bottles, and I'm so happy it's coming back. So when you hold your St. Mary's lavender, and then you hold your regular lavender, I've got mine over here, just do your sniff test, You'll smell your regular lavender first, and then smell your St. Mary's, and it's unbelievably pretty. But there's something else to it, and you can't really nail it down because it's not like the smell is different, but the energy of it is different. So anyway, it's a very Gary oil. And get a bottle because it is in limited supply. I don't know when we'll see it again. You can only order one a month. I hope it hangs out. If you don't want your bottle, tell me. Place your ER. I'll buy your bottle from you. Because this is really something else.